Welcome back folks, and welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to talk about V Rising. I remember playing this and covering it a while back on the channel, and even then during early access I had very positive thoughts about it. But now V Rising is coming out officially into full release on PC and later on PlayStation 5, and I was planning to cover this anyway, but Stunlock Studios reached out and decided to sponsor the video as well, so huge thanks to them for supporting the channel. And along with it, I have a few V Rising PC Steam codes to give to the community, which will appear randomly through the video, so enjoy the game. They also did a collaboration with Castlevania where in the game you fight against Simon Belmont himself, so if you actually like the anime, if you watch that, you're going to definitely enjoy this one. So V Rising is a game I poured around 60 hours in during early access days, and that's mostly because of a very interesting gameplay design and formula behind it. In V Rising you take a role of a vampire whose job is to sort of rise to the top of the vampire bloodline by going into the world, fighting various beasts and monsters to reach various bosses and mini-bosses that represent Dracula's minions, where ultimately in the end you fight Dracula to take over the throne and be the strongest vampire, attain power, and so on. And this is where combat comes into picture, because if you never played games from Stunlock, they created Battlerite and Bloodline Champions, which are arena skill shot MOBA titles where you fight against other people, and one thing I really enjoyed there are how abilities, counters and dashes work. So now they took all of that and refined it for V Rising, so you can expect fights which rely on skill shots, movements, and well, your enemies will do the same, especially later on once you progress through the game further and encounter stronger enemies. Also, a lot more weapons were added, including new unique weapons that will give you a much better edge during the fight. And as you can see in the gameplay, I had to constantly move around and play carefully, because usually bosses will do a lot of damage if you are not careful, or well, if you are hit by one of their abilities. And as you fight different bosses and get their blood, you also unlock more crafting recipes and abilities that you can learn and then use yourself and make your own build depending on the situation and enemies you fight, being that some enemies will have weaknesses or well, be easier to play against with certain abilities. And as a vampire you drink blood to survive, so you have a pool of blood that depletes over time, and you get it by lowering HP of living enemies and drinking it. Also, different enemies will randomly have better quality blood, which means you get more buffs from it, like for example, increased stats, better critical damage, faster movement speed, and so on. V Rising also has gathering, crafting, base building, where you make your base or well, castle from where you craft new weapons, tools and armor, which increases your item level that allows you to fight stronger enemies, so you don't level up in this game in a classical sense as a character, but rather items you make or well which you equip are going to increase your item level, which I like because everything depends on you getting stronger to fight stronger bosses to get their abilities and unlock more stuff. You actually have to go and unlock it yourself. So on the map, each region will have stronger enemies, so you will start slowly moving, up as you advance with your character. And you also do have a mount which you can have, like for example a horse, which you can steal yourself later on as you progress through the world and get to a different zone. And because you are a vampire, you cannot really be out in the sun, so a really cool mechanic in this game is that you must be in the shade at all times during the day, or you will start taking huge damage. So you really learn how to play around even the smallest of shades during fights or during exploration. Although night is longer, which allows you to move freely, and from time to time you will even have Blood Moon, where you become stronger during that particular night, which can be used to go and fight, stronger enemies or bosses because you have that edge. Now when it comes to different game modes, you can play V Rising with other people or by yourself, or well in co-op with your friends, by either creating your own private world, setting up your own parameters, and as I said, your friends can join you so you can play together and pretty much go through the entire game together. If you go to play with other people, you have PvE and PvP servers. In PvE servers you focus more on getting stronger and fighting against other bosses with other people. On some servers people trade, do castle builds, walkthroughs and so on. And on PvP servers, you still fight bosses and level up, through PvE, but now you also have to take into account that you will be clashing with other people you meet, or well, if you go after them or attack their castle. And you have more hardcore PvP servers where your entire castle can be destroyed. You drop all of your equipment if you lose the fight and so on. So you can really find the game mode or well world you like depending on your playstyle. I can tell you right away, even if you decide just to play this game, through PvE, you're going to have a blast. I mean, PvP on top of it is, for people who want a bigger challenge or a bigger edge. In normal game, which you haven't set yourself, castles can decay as well. So you use blood to keep it going, but it doesn't take long to farm enough resources to keep it running for days without the need to replenish it, so that whole system is not annoying. Later on, you can even move your castle very easily to one of the available spots because you cannot build anywhere in this game, being that you have zones with enemies, and you can't also build on the road, being that, roads kind of have to stay open on that sense for either other people or just, so you can pass through them. But my previous castle was right next to the road, which was great in PvE because everything was kind of close by. Not so much in PvP because, you kind of get raided a lot if people see you a lot. So your gameplay loop will be going out, fighting enemies, tracking down bosses, fighting people if you go for PvP, and then basically refining those resources and using it to craft better equipment, and then fight stronger enemies and bosses to unlock more stuff. And there has been quite a few improvements and additions in full release, from better character creator, refined zones on the map to make them more streamlined, as well as improving on skills and abilities section. You also have endgame conflict zones that have random conflicts where you fight very strong enemies, as well as cargo travelers that go around the area that you can loot and so on. Graphically, I always like the style of the game. It has beautiful sceneries and biomes that feature a big variety of enemies. Also, on the optimization side, I don't think you're going to have problems running this game, being that through the entire game, even in early access, I had a very pleasant and a very smooth experience. And you really take a role of a vampire here, especially when you start going into towns and cities that are inhabited by humans, even going into full-on castles, to fight, stronger enemies or, well, knights and warriors and so on. And from my past experience, I can tell you it was very tough, but very satisfying in the end, once you clear it out or learn to fight those enemies, especially in PvE where you have other people joining you as well. Now, even when it first came out in early access, there was a ton of content to go through, so I'm really happy that they kept adding more and more stuff, refining gameplay and so on. And look, I rarely accept sponsorships, especially when it comes to full videos, and I only accept from games I played and like to play, and I can really recommend V-Rising if you enjoy a title like this. It's already tried and tested, as you can see by the reviews, and now you get to experience it in full release as it leaves early access on 8th of May, or well, right now as you're watching this video. And for all of you legends that stayed until the end, as I mentioned, they are collaborating with Castlevania, where besides fighting Simon Belmont, you also get new cosmetics for you and your base, new customization options, different shapes you can take. So here is a code for one Castlevania Premium Package Steam code, but keep in mind you must have the base game to activate this. So huge thanks to Stunlock for being a part of this video, sponsoring it and supporting the community. Check out V-Rising through the link below in the description and pinned comment and get it today. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button for more. Check us out on Twitter and Discord, and huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. This is LKM signing out, and stay classy everyone. Bye bye.